Cyberpunk 2077. I know, I don't know how many videos I've made about this now, but I'm trying to move on, but it's just one development after another. It is safe to say that CD Projekt Red has pissed off quite a good amount of people from a number of different groups. First up, when it comes to the community, I mean, just one glimpse at the subreddit will reveal that the game has kind of turned into a meme, with people complaining about the shady marketing surrounding the game and pointing out many of the technical flaws that still permeate despite the hotfixes that have released, with major patches coming next year. Beyond that, we've got critics who have been quite well critical of the game, especially on PlayStation 4, where it's currently sitting at a score of 55 from 22 critic reviews, which is certainly not something people expected to see from a CD Projekt Red title, and user scores pretty low there as well, though on PC scores are much better. But yeah, this is the version of the game that, after the delay from November to December, CD Projekt CEO touted as running surprisingly well on last-gen consoles, which we all know now turned out to be a flat-out lie. Plenty of media outlets are also writing scathing reviews about the practices surrounding Cyberpunk 2077, like this article from VentureBeat. And beyond the community and media outlets, we've also got people within the company's staff who are quite furious at leadership and management, and for understandable reasons. Apparently, things have gotten quite hostile within the company, with people protesting and speaking to media outlets about their experience. And so we will no doubt learn more about what exactly went wrong behind the scenes in the not-so-distant future. As if all that wasn't enough, CD Projekt managed to piss off one of the major platform holders, Sony, after they offloaded refund responsibility to PlayStation without consulting them, seemingly guaranteeing refunds and telling people to just go to PlayStation and Xbox. This all ultimately culminated in PlayStation issuing and guaranteeing refunds, but also delisting and removing Cyberpunk 2077 from the PlayStation Store outright, which is completely unprecedented on this scale. Which finally brings us to today's story. CD Projekt Red is also, on top of all that, facing scrutiny from investors who feel as though they were misled. The following information first came to light when the New York Times released the following article, in which they kind of summarized the situation surrounding Cyberpunk. Among the things that were brought up was a lawsuit. And if we go to the bottom of the article here, you'll find a link. Clicking on it will take you to the following website, bankier.pl, and here is a statement translated by Google Translate from this individual. I'm not even going to try to read his name, who suggested the possibility of organizing a class action lawsuit against CD Projekt. So this is what this individual had to say. My name is Mikołaj. I am a Warsaw attorney and at the same time a CDPR investor. In connection with the recent events, and in particular the suspension of the sale of Cyberpunk 2077 on the PlayStation Store specifically, we're currently analyzing, together with a law firm's team, the grounds for bringing a class action together with the notifications of the possibility of committing a crime under Article 286 of the Penal Code, misrepresentation in order to obtain financial benefits. A lot of investors feel as though CD Projekt misrepresented the state of the game and the state of things in general when they launched the game. A lot of investors felt pretty confident that this would be a monumental, glorious launch, which obviously turned to disaster when people discovered the unacceptable technical issues, especially on consoles, and the way the game really wasn't fixed even on PC with the post-launch patches, and the deceitful practices that has led to much backlash with how they manipulated the review process and misrepresented their game's state in marketing material. The statement continues, if you're interested in participating in the above, please contact me at the following email address. Contact is absolutely free. My entry is to verify whether to undertake the above activities yourself or whether there are more people in a situation similar to me. We also prepare material together with one of the web portals on the rights of investors, if so clearly. For investors who didn't pull out on time, they did indeed lose quite a bit of money. You can see right here from December 4th to December 18th, CD Projekt stock has dipped by a whopping 40.32%, and it's at some of the lowest in the company's history. We're looking at hundreds of millions of dollars that the company has lost in value, probably nearing the $1 billion mark. So this is not a good situation for investors either. So CD Projekt Red is just facing scrutiny on all fronts. In parallel to the investor's announcement that he has intentions to sue CD Projekt Red and engage in a class action lawsuit, Yahoo Finance released the following press release from Wolf, Haudenstein, Adler, Freeman, and Hearst LLP, who announced that they're investigating a potential securities class action lawsuit against CD Projekt SA. So here's what that press release reads like, published on December 18th. New York, Wolf, Haudenstein, Adler, Freeman, and Hearst LLP announces an investigation of potential security claims on behalf of shareholders of CD Projekt SA, resulting from allegations that CD Projekt may have issued materially misleading information to their shareholders and investing public. All investors who purchase the American depository receipts of CD Projekt SA and incurred losses are urged to contact the firm immediately at the following contact information. If you have incurred losses in the ADRs of CD Projekt SA, please contact Wolf Haudenstein to learn more about your rights as an investor in CD Projekt SA. And then finally, the statement concludes by talking about the reputation of Wolf Haudenstein. Apparently has extensive experience in the prosecution of securities class actions and derivative litigation in state and federal trial and appellate courts across the country. The firm has attorneys in various practice areas and offices in New York, Chicago, and San Diego. So they're pretty sizable. They're no slouch. It would seem as though this is going to be a potentially serious situation if this goes through. The reputation and expertise of this firm in shareholder and other class litigation has been repeatedly recognized by the courts, which have appointed it to major positions in complex securities, multi-district, and consolidated litigation. And then they continue to offer contact information. So we'll see how this develops. It does seem as though this is one individual, this Mikuláš, who's brought this up. We'll see how many decide to actually participate. But I have little doubt that plenty of investors are also really pissed about a situation that they did not foresee, because CD Projekt, in many ways, blindsided investors and media outlets and consumers alike. And, of course, developers who knew, according to the Bloomberg article here, that the game was not ready for launch, but leadership insisted that the game launch when it did. And so, again, everyone's pissed. All kinds of groups are kind of demanding answers from CD Projekt leadership, who do have a lot to answer for. The last time I saw investors turn against a company like that in the video games industry was with EA. Recall that back in August of 2020 when EA tried to get executives additional pay despite EA not having fulfilled certain goals, and despite not everything being sunshine and rainbows at EA. Yeah, investors stepped in and actually rebuked and rejected EA's proposal to grant additional pay to executives. So that actually made quite a splash. That made a lot of headlines. But what's going on here at CD Projekt, the multifaceted backlash that they're receiving from all fronts, is on a scale that is really unprecedented. Understand that Cyberpunk 2077 was supposed to be the biggest game launch possibly ever, and in some ways it still made quite a dent on that front, having sold 8 million units in pre-orders alone, which is ridiculous, and the game's bound to surpass, at least the 20 million mark in units sold, though with the game now being down and removed from the PlayStation Store, that's going to be affected. With all this backlash, those numbers are no doubt bound to be affected. By how much remains to be seen, but the amount of hype surrounding this game from customers and players, media outlets, investors who are hoping that their investment in CD Projekt would increase in value drastically, and from developers who are hoping to really put out there one of the most incredible experiences. Given all that hype, yeah, the fall and the disaster surrounding all of this is just that much hard-hitting, that much more impactful, and that's why we're seeing this level of coverage, this level of ire against CD Projekt, because they promised the moon and woefully under-delivered because of executive decisions that led to a game launching underbaked, undercooked, technically in an unacceptable state on consoles and still rough enough on PC. I wholeheartedly believe that games like Marvel's Avengers and Anthem and Fallout 76 were worse in terms of the core, the substance, but technical issues-wise, I think Cyberpunk 2077 on console specifically, which is a huge player base, it's worse than those other games. And because the expectations for consumer-friendly company CD Projekt were higher and the hype for Cyberpunk 2077 was just unprecedented, that's what makes this all the more painful, especially because underneath it all, I think people can ultimately feel that there is a good game there that just needed like 6 months or a year of extra development. That's what hurts. A game like Marvel's Avengers in its current state, I think if you fix all the technical issues, what you're left with is still a pretty bland and forgettable game, where Cyberpunk 2077, I feel once they fix the technical issues and implement certain key features, you know, there's so much substance there. It's a good game underneath it all. You can see the talent and passion that went into it that was marred by deadlines that developers couldn't meet, deadlines set by CD Projekt leadership. That's what hurts about this, is that the potential of this game was much higher than the other disastrous AAA launches. Just nobody expected the game to launch in this state from a company that's continued to tout that the game will be out when it's ready. That was basically the motto of this project. It'll be interesting to see how all of this plays out. It'll be interesting to see how far this lawsuit goes, if it actually goes anywhere. Oftentimes I see threats of lawsuits that kind of end up fizzling out. We'll see if this really ends up carrying through, and if CD Projekt Red is in legitimate danger with this one. But, you know, CD Projekt leadership brought this on themselves with their shady and opaque and flat-out duplicitous practices surrounding this title. And it sucks that leadership has dragged staff, developers, really talented and passionate people into this, and now they're facing the brunt of backlash, getting death threats via email and private messages and awful insults, despite the fact that much of this situation was outside of their control. They did what they could within the boundaries and confines that they were forced into by CD Projekt leadership. But yeah, this is where we're at right now with the whole CD Projekt situation. I don't know if this is going to be my last video. I'm not going to make promises because more developments could happen, but I think it is very important to cover all of this. Given the stature of a company like CD Projekt, it's important to hold them accountable, leadership especially. So we'll see, again, how all of this develops. But in the meantime, let me know in the comments below what your take is on everything surrounding Cyberpunk 2077 and CD Projekt right now. And now with this lawsuit being brought up and investors potentially protesting in their own way. Drop a comment, and to be further updated on all things gaming news, reviews, and discussions, stay tuned right here on Young Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Young out.